So you may be getting up there in age, or maybe you just like dressing a little bit more maturely. But just like any millennial pluser or millennial pluser aesthetic, you understand the value of presentation. And as far as Japan is concerned, it has you covered with so many choices in fashion as long as you've maintained a, let's say, healthier lifestyle. We got 6 Japanese brands for grown-ass men with grown-ass responsibilities, or those that want to pretend like they have grown-ass responsibilities. You know who you are. That's next. I'm Reggie Casual. Let's get it. All right, so before we get started, I have to preface. Japanese fashion is pretty dynamic. If you've been here, you know that's the case. There are a lot of, let's say, officially adult men who engage in all manner of fashion styles, from street to punk. Japanese men engaged in fashion are varied and are capable of being just as fashionably diverse as young people, perhaps even more so because they have access to more money. However, for Western men, there's often a societal expectation that men wear fashion that defines their age. Countless advice is given and stress upon men to wear things that are a bit more traditional rather than focusing on dynamism. What's great is that Japan offers up these styles that invoke the traditional, but add a ton of character to the mix, which allows much more of it to look far more adventurous than standard essentials menswear. So the next few picks that you're about to be privy to are exactly what we feel passed that test. The Flathead. For decades now, the Flathead has been a go-to for denim enthusiasts around the world. Known famously for its unique and fast-fading denim, the Flathead isn't limited to its expertise, that being denim. Clearly sporting a classic Southwestern American vibe, don't let the adopted influence fool you into thinking that this label is a Japanese cosplay of the genre. The Flathead is likely some of the best clothing, both in authentic style and make, you can possibly acquire. Flannel shirts, for example, are actually thick and supple and made for those brisk days, but not overly cold. You know, like how they were classically manufactured, and they feel great to boot. Leather jackets are superbly made and forego added accents to make them more contemporary. They are classic in every sense of the word. To put it bluntly, the Flathead is a no-frills preservationist approach, making it perfect for older men who value quality and refined style. So if you are a fan of Americana at all, there isn't much that beats the Flathead, and you'll know it as soon as you feel it. Junya Watanabe Man. As our first and only designer label on this list, it took a lot of soul searching on my part to include this entry, partly because I didn't want to overtly showcase my bias towards who I believe is one of the best designers alive. That said, Junya Watanabe's Junya Watanabe Man, which will henceforth be called Man, because it's just a long name, is one of the best designed menswear brands and stands apart as a more ambitious take on workwear, classic, and Americana influences. What makes Man so appealing is that it doesn't stray away from classic silhouettes that men are used to, while also providing fresh takes that add character to those aforementioned classics. Succinctly, due to the design prowess of Watanabe himself, Man isn't boring, like at all. Patchwork, tailoring, denim, outdoor wear all make appearances at Man runways, and you're always left wanting something. Further, Watanabe makes it a point to style many of those pieces with older male models, doubling down on the vision for the label and who it's for. This isn't just for the young, hell, it probably isn't the core market at all. This is for the adventurous man who doesn't want to shake the tree too hard and look like a tryhard. He'll certainly stand out, but in all the good ways. N.Hoolywood. Despite being misspelled or just not spelled correctly for reasons I don't know why, Daisuke Obani's N.Hoolywood is simply great. And I mean that quite literally. It's simple and great. And part of the reason is because the label does a fantastic job of merging classic menswear with a comfort-driven approach. You want something that looks like it would be for an office setting, but comfortable enough to wear all day? N.Hoolywood has you covered. In any of its brands, really, because there's like 3 sub-brands. And it's nuts. Or how about if you want something that looks ridiculously familiar to most Western men in that outdoor backyard setting? you might want to try the North Hollywood Wrangler collaboration. Or maybe you want something looser yet tailored, or slightly artistic yet minimal. Or how about brandless with a high-end feeling? You might want to try North Hollywood Compile. These are all the brands under the North Hollywood label, and they are all magnificent. You know how suddenly the fashion industry caught on to minimalism the last few seasons? That's how North Hollywood has been since the beginning of its inception. And Obana's forays into fabric and textile development has made his label one of the most popular labels in Greater Asia over the years. So don't miss out on this label. It is amazing. It feels great. And if you are looking for something along any of the lines that you heard what I said today, you won't regret it, I promise you. Engineered garments. Now, what can be said about engineered garments that hasn't already been said? It's a label part of the Nepenthes family that will almost always be mentioned by people who are familiar with Japanese men's fashion at like that second or third level tier. And they got a little bit more knowledge than everybody else. Yeah, they know about engineered garments. Now, part of the reason why is due to the fact that it's actually available out west, which makes it a very enticing proposition, as few Japanese labels make it that far, as I'm sure you are aware. That said, engineered garments is also invoked by the larger Japanese fashion community because it's just damn good. Imagine taking the material of workwear and military, as well as its influence, adding a bit of contemporary pattern and silhouette, but not going so far as to make it unwearable, while also not being so conservative that it's boring. Again, that word keeps on coming up. But that is engineered garments. To put it more bluntly, engineered garments is just fun to wear and style, without the annoying attribute of being perceived as immature. The other great aspect of engineered garments is that it is a bit less constricted to its own aesthetic, which is kind of the common theme among Japanese brands. There's an opportunity to mix and match its offerings with other pieces you likely already have, making it far more flexible. This makes it an easy cop and perhaps better suited for a Western style philosophy that embraces multiple styling options rather than singular focused looks. Either way, it's a fantastic addition to any wardrobe. It has something for everyone, and with the added benefit of being a bit more available, makes it highly recommended. Beams Plus. We could continue to keep invoking Beams till the end of time here on The Casual, but it can't be overstated that Beams, and its far more involved Beams Plus, is of the highest order when it comes to menswear in Japan. While Beams is positioned as a select shop, its in-house brands are often some of the most desirable due to being a bit more intentional and well-made. The Beams Plus sub-label takes that philosophy to an absolute 10 or 11 or 12. It's up there. That is, if you want to know what it means to be an adult man who cares about fashion but understands that designer on top of designer is simply improbable for maintaining consistency and frankly sanity, Beams Plus is the blueprint. Basically everything that every person on YouTube claims are the essentials every man should have are limited by not knowing that Beams Plus is a choice, unless they actually tell you or they know about it. Beams Plus essentially, no pun intended, or intended because I inflected my voice that way. Anyway, it gives permission for men to explore color, material, pattern, and even silhouette without dragging them into try-hardism that unfortunately runs rampant in fashion. But it also isn't boring. Again, I invoke this word because quite often when we talk about menswear, there's such a standardization that it's hard to find uniqueness, and what you end up with is a whole bunch of dudes looking far too alike for anyone's liking. And when everyone looks alike, it's hard to stand out. And when it's hard to stand out, it gives people license to default to baseline attraction attributes. That's just a little advice there. You want to attract the best from the community of people that you occupy, that you're normally around. Not everyone. There's too much competition with everyone. It's crazy, but I digress. Beams Plus is contemporary menswear with designer accents. It's equal parts fun, everyday wearable, classic, ambitious, and of good make. It's one of the reasons why Beams is the #1 select shop in Japan and continues to deliver amazing collections season after season. It's so good, even ladies partake, and Beams Plus has responded in kind with looks and offerings for them as well. United Arrows and Sons and the United Arrows family. For years, United Arrows and Sons has been one of my personal favorite select shops in Japan. even more so than regular United Arrows. Like Beams Plus, United Arrows & Sons is a sub-label under its main company banner, in this case, United Arrows Ltd. Headed by style icon Motofumi Kogi, aka Mr. Pogi, aka Pogi the Man, United Arrows & Sons does something that even Beams Plus misses out on. It allows men not to abandon what they gravitated towards when they were younger, but rather it asks them to enrich it, make it suitable for their age, refine it, and own it. The unfortunate reality is that United Arrows & Sons doesn't always have frequent collections and partakes in more curation than building said collection. However, another sub-label under United Arrows is Beauty and Youth, which has done an amazing job at continuing the cool but mature nature of United Arrows & Sons. It comes highly recommended as it has a near identical appeal as United Arrows & Sons, that is refining classic youthful styles, making them more suitable for an older audience. Again, giving you permission to not abandon, but refine those youthful looks that you gravitated towards. So check out United Arrows & Sons, United Arrows Beauty and Youth, and even some of the other ones like Green Label Relaxing. They're all amazing, and UA just does a fantastic job of putting it all together. I would argue that they're probably better at styling than Beams in some respects. That said, those are some fantastic labels, all of them that you should get to know from Japan that are dedicated to menswear and beyond, particularly for that older subsect of people. If you're like 30, I really don't like to say that because again, like in Japan, you really just don't have that dynamic as strongly. You have it, but it's not as kind of like stuck in stone. People can kind of do anything, but you do notice with people who are like 30 plus, 35 plus, they have a more refined take on some of those older styles. But again, these are all fantastic. You should certainly check them out. And it's definitely good for kind of like the Western-minded philosophy of fashion. With that, let us know which of these you find interesting, and perhaps in a future episode, we can acquire some pieces and give you more in-house showcases. That's always good. Or you can suggest other content you'd like to explore. If you have any particular requests, we'll try to do that as well. Join us on Patreon or YouTube for benefits and extras if you can. It helps us keep this thing going and serves you up bigger and better reviews and insights. At the very least, drop a sub, like, turn on notifications if you found this content valuable or entertaining to you. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info on international fashion, culture, and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu, and I'll see you guys in a minute.